We knew they were coming back in a cool updated form thanks to the rule that we saw for the Warlock Engineer a few weeks ago, but today we actually got to see another updated model for the Skaven range, which is coming in AOS 4.0, and one which is a very popular one, and one which seems to have got an extremely good glow up for the new edition, and that is the Skaven Jezzails. These guys that you can see side by side on the screen here have just got so much better in my opinion. Gone is the old resin, somewhat muddy designed and detailed kits that you can see, and in is this delightfully cool new one, which I really like because it still harkens back to a lot of the older design. It still has that two-man crew, it still has that defensive Pavis shield on the front, it still has that same Skaven shoddiness. It just looks so much better and more detailed now, and I for one really love it. I'm really glad to see that GW are putting in effort to make these loving, faithful, redesigned kits. They really do look like they are going that extra mile to make sure that they do look as elaborate and in-fitting with the high quality new AOS designs and miniatures that we've come to know and love, while still giving it enough of that old style so that you could in theory fit in any of the older kits that you may still have rocking around alongside these new ones quite well. I just think that a unit or two of these alongside the new Warlock Engineer that we saw are going to look fantastic on the battlefield, and from the sounds of it, they're actually going to be fairly scary in terms of rules as well. We did actually only get shown one rule today, but we got a little bit of a hint at some of their other stats and abilities that they're going to have. So we are told that they wound on 3s, they have 2 attacks each, and those attacks are -2 rend and 2 damage. And then we see if they don't move, they have a rule called Warpstone Snipers, which grants them +1 to hit. Now, in their current 3rd edition profile, they are 1 shot and they hit and wound on 3s, and they are -2 rend and 2 damage. So a lot seems to be staying the same. I personally think they are going to be moving from a base 3+ to hit to a base 4+ to hit, and then they'll go back to 3s with their new rule. So they can still be 3+, 3+, -2 rend and 2 damage, but only if they sit still now, which to me seems quite fair and lore appropriate. Like, they are meant to be big, like sniper units that stay still and just shoot stuff. So in my opinion, I don't think we will be seeing them at a base 3+ to hit and then dropping to a 2+. They will be a base 4+ and drop back to their old 3+. But you are still getting 2 shots now rather than 1. So all in all, it seems like a bit of an upgrade to me. If you have a squad of 3, which again to me looks like it might be the case given that they show us 3 different variants of the model on Warhammer Community that you can see on your screen now, so I do think they will still be a squad size of 3, and if that is the case, that is still netting you 6 shots that if you stay still will be 3s to hit, 3s to wound, -2 rend and 2 damage. So even against a fairly solid 3+ save, you can expect to do an average of about 3.5 damage to it. They get around 1.7 wounds through the saves, and then obviously being 2 damage doubles that to 3.5 damage. So even a single squad, if you get lucky, can do a serious chunk of damage to an enemy hero. And they get even better at doing that because if you remember the Warlock Engineer rule Sniper Master, that really does boost their ability to do this, because it means that a Jezzail unit within 13 inches of them gets to ignore the guarded hero lookout sir style rule when they're picking their targets. It's worth noting with this, and I didn't quite catch it at first, but this allows them to ignore that rule for the purposes of choosing their targets and selecting their targets. So they do, from the wording, still have to suffer the -1 to their hit rolls, but they do just get to pick out heroes even if they are near units and they would normally be untargetable. So it's not quite as amazing for boosting their damage output as it may initially look, but still it's very strong, and it means that a couple of units of Jezzails around an engineer are going to be a very scary ranged threat to your opponent's foot heroes. Against something like the Blades of Khorne Slaughter Priest, which we saw the War Scroll for the other day, 2 units of Jezzails could potentially, if my guesses is right about the unit size and everything, they could potentially be throwing out 12 shots, hitting with 6 if they stay still, getting around 4 wounds, and then with the Slaughter Priest only having a 5-up save, they will just cut through that completely, and then thanks to their flat 2 damage, they will just be able to wipe out a unit like that with its 6 wounds with absolute ease. Now, we don't know their cost, and as I've said before, we still don't know for certain that they are still a unit of 3. They could be a unit of 1 now, but my thinking is they are probably still a unit of 3, to be honest. And I think based on what we are seeing now, for Skaven players, this is going to be an incredibly strong combo for taking out those key foot heroes that tend to be hidden in and around units and just wiping out their ability to cast and support and buff the units that are around them. And I mean, even when they've done that and you've killed all the enemy heroes that you want to, -2 rend and a flat 2 damage is still a fantastic profile for putting into bigger enemy units and just starting to kill off models, and even things like Stormcast, which are fairly tanky, are going to fall fairly quickly with a few squads of Jezzails shooting into them. I mean, funnily enough, they can even do fairly well into the biggest and scariest of units like Nagash with his 18 health, 3-up save, and 5-up ward. 3 units of Jezzails, again assuming a squad size of 3 here, puts around 7 damage into him, so alongside an engineer next to them, they could probably bring Nagash down to about half health in a single volley if you brought all those units together. So I do think they are going to be very, very good indeed, and hopefully they will make it quite a bit more dangerous for your opponent to keep their heroes hidden inside big units of infantry. So that is the Skaven Jezzails. We didn't get shown a huge amount today, but what we did get shown is quite promising and I think quite good. Like, just from a rules perspective, I think they're going to be fun, but from the models themselves, I think they look fantastic. They are Skaven-y, they are very much in fitting with the great designs that we see in AOS, and I think they are going to be a really cool unit to see and build and paint up and put down on the table. But as always, what do you make of them? And also, what do you make of the rules that we've been shown for them so far? Will you be taking some to cut down the enemy from range in your lists? Or do you think they are going to be costed a bit too high to actually be worth it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.